Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Wednesday morning, where I am back to being the number one greatest dad. Number two is nowhere to be found, and you with your fancy milks and potions, coffee is with us, John. What's
Yeah,
happening?
it's just oat milk and some regular coffee, my guy.
Oh,
Like,
it is regular coffee. Okay,
yeah, it's
I
regular
thought you
coffee.
would have some kind of
No, like you you confuse me for them Gen Z folks. No, man, no. It's just I try to make it as simple as possible. I used to do just black, but then I just couldn't. There was a time where I couldn't sleep, so I started adding a bit of milk. Yeah, I couldn't sleep because I've been having too much black coffee. Because I have 2 to 3 cups a
because
day.
of too much black coffee during the day. You couldn't sleep at night.
Yes. And then when I started adding milk, I don't know if it's psychological or whatever. That's when I started adding milk. But originally I was just going black, so that's when I started.
Huh,
Yeah.
that's interesting because I know, yeah, Alan says oat milk, yuck. I don't even think oat milk. I used oat milk actually because
I'm
we were out of milk or something, and I don't think it has that strong of a taste in the coffee.
yeah. I have oat milk because I'm semi lactose
Uh
intolerant,
oh,
just semi.
coffee
So
cops are coming over to you to
yeah,
get
yeah.
your.
They're going like, this guy has oat milk, like FBI. the the
um,
feds just come in like.
yeah, oat milk doesn't have that much of it. Like, if I gave Alan like coffee with milk, I don't think he'd be like, "What is this milk?" Like, I don't think you can really tell. It's not that strong. Almond milk, for example, I find a lot
Oh, I don't
stronger.
like almond milk. Yeah, it tastes horrible for me.
I mean, yes, as you guys can tell, there's not a lot happening in the world of
Yeah,
Premier
talking
League
about
right
milks.
now. So this morning we'll be talking about milks in coffee. Sir Z is rooting for Palace to have Charleston give us a guard of honor. See, that makes it interesting. I did not think of that, but I still want us to play and
I want
win.
us to win. Yeah, I want us to win at Anfield. I just want to see, for once in my life, right? And I don't exaggerate, for once in my life, right? Us winning the league and then just the fans reacting to it. Like, we had a great chance a few years ago when it looked like Aston Villa and Stevie G was going to get the job done.
Yeah.
Right? That was it. And I don't and I thought that was going to be it. So this time I just wanted to be in front of our fans. As much as I hate Richarlison, just seeing our fans, I'd love that more, right? I'm assuming you're the same, Tim, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I didn't even think about the whole Richarlison factor, but just for Richarlison, I'm not going to change my entire plans. He's not. He's not
Yes.
worth changing my plans over. So I think I would rather do it after a win at home against the Spurs team. That's going to be really interesting too. We were talking about it on the panel last night, and like Jake was saying, he's expecting like a team that faced similar to the team that faced Forest, where there's at least 5, 6 people rotated and being rested, and at halftime it's almost like the other guys get rested and they flip flop kind of a thing, knowing they have the Europa game, which is their season right now. Nothing else
But the
really
Europa.
matters for them.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, on paper that looks very favorable for us, and I believe you were the one who were mentioning it, Tim. The Leicester game last weekend,
Yep.
you were worrying about it, and then when I see, I didn't watch the game, right? I just watched the replay, but then seeing the updates at the 60th minute, it was still 0-0. I was like, this is what Tim was saying. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
we kind of rested on our laurels too much, thought it was going to be an easy one. So I feel like Spurs is going to be the same, especially if they start with like a weak team and we think we can just stroll up at Anfield and get the 3 points, get the league. It's dangerous territory, man. We got to do our job.
Honestly, though, like, let me see if I can open this over here and like share. But I did not think this weekend was the goal just would not come. But it does not
Yeah,
seem like
yeah,
a game
yeah,
where like we played poorly. But what happens is it kind of gets in your heads, and you're like, "Man, is this ever gonna come?" Like when the
yeah.
game started, we do the double doink with Mo and stuff like that. You were like, "Ah, this is just a matter of time over here." But when it doesn't come and it's like 50, 60, 70th minutes, then you're like, "Oh man, I don't know. Is this not gonna come? Maybe I just assume kind of thing." Godfrey, what's going on, man? Welcome aboard, Arsenal fan. Well,
Godfrey's an
I think
Arsenal
you can
fan.
kind of tell us how you're feeling right now. I think because of the Champions League, But you know what's so funny? Like I listen to. I mean, I guess we do this too. I know, like Iceland fans, I think are a bit more reactionary than we are, which says a lot by itself. But I was listening to a show yesterday where the same guys who had like Arteta's head on a sidewalk curb, like kicking it, uh, were like the thing he's done with this team, the players he's been. You guys were like kidding. It was like what the hell? But yeah, I would like to know. Like, after, let us know where you are, man. All my mates down here in New Zealand cheering for Palace, but I thought we'll be able to help Liverpool today. Sadly, I don't think so either. And I really don't like. I really don't want it. I wouldn't mind the draw though. I hate to say it. Yeah. See, Kazga says we need a draw today too. I think that's the perfect result to come out of.
Right. Right. A draw doesn't win it, right? But then it lessens the margin, right? Like, what is it going to be?
Well,
Two
basically,
points
what happens is then a draw is even enough this
to
weekend.
win it. Yeah.
So like it kind of takes the additional pressure off. See,
Well,
Godfrey has never seen a manager so protected like Arteta.
I feel like the Arsenal discourse with Arteta is similar to our discourse with FSG. Kind of like it divides the fan base, especially if they don't win anything next year. If they don't win the league, or if they don't win the Champions League this year, they don't win the league next year or anything. That's just gonna grow. That's like a tumor. That's just either they do like the whole chemo thing and get rid of it by winning a trophy, or it just keeps getting worse and worse until it
What
it
are you talking
becomes like
about? He's won charity shields and stuff.
like I mean, his FA Cup was won with Emery's team, right? Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about the Arteta thing. Like in the beginning, I was more. I mean, he did turn a lot around, right? Like he did
Yes,
establish, and this is a pretty
yes.
solid Arsenal team. Obviously, I
Hmm.
know Real Madrid is not the Real Madrid, but still a like a very obviously a good team, and he's kind of changed things around. But I always get the feeling Arteta is the guy before the guy. Like they need a guy who to come in now and say, okay, I'm here for the next level kind of thing. Like we see it in American sports all the time. There's a guy that kind of gets him in the playoffs, and then another guy comes in, and then they, with his team, they win the title and stuff like that. Yeah, see, that's interesting because I think the semifinal alone, like we were talking on the panel yesterday, so obviously Jake is there with the Spurs, and I feel like that's unfair too. I was asking Jake about, Ange and, like what
Mm,
would happen if they win Europa, what they've done, because I feel like that's a dangerous thing to do because that is what happened with Ten Hag. The funny thing is,
yes.
we didn't think about it on air after we went off, like we were talking about it. And Shea, I think, brought up the fact that, it's what United did with Ten Hag. They were like, oh, he won the FA Cup, so he should stick around. So you spend the summer wasting money for this dude because he wants, his own guys or whatever. And
Yep.
then if you were going to can him anyway, if he starts the next year poorly, then what's the point? Might as well. I do not think. I mean, what do you think? I don't think anything will happen to Arteta. I think that whole Real elimination has kind of like secured his place.
Yeah,
Maybe if
and
it was in danger.
yeah, and I think as much as I hate to play, they have merit with the injury excuses, right? The problem is it's just overblown, right? Like I
Yeah,
get it, but then at the same time, when everyone was healthy, you were still like 9 points behind us, so that kind of
yeah.
debunks the argument. I give it. Let's. If I was the Arsenal board, probably let him give another go next year. When assuming everyone's healthy, they give him some proper support. Then let's see then. When everything is like equal and he still doesn't get it done, which to be fair is what's been happening the last 2 years before this
Yeah,
season,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So let's give him another go. But at the same time, obviously I'm biased, right? I'm a Liverpool fan. I do think his style isn't necessarily uh, conduit to winning. You know what I mean? Like the times where he would set up rather conservatively for a team that they should be beating handsomely, right? Like
I
it,
remember that City game they went to, and they were very, very happy and content with a
with a
draw.
draw,
And that was
right?
a City team reeling at the time if they
Yeah,
took it to him. But yes, he did
yeah,
exactly what you're saying. He kind of played it safe.
yeah. I mean, playing it safe. I mean, look at the last five league winners. I mean, four of those are City, who was like the epitome of like positive football. But then you had us there, who even though we had like a really progressive style, we conceded less than a goal per game throughout the
Yeah.
season. So it can be done. I just don't know. And he has excellent defenders. Gabriel is a beast. So is Saliba. He can't do it. I just don't like the mentality. I don't think it's enough for them to win the league, even if they are healthy. Because listen, they keep talking about us, us, us. City are gonna be back next year as well
Yeah.
with 250 million extra funds in the wallet. So it's not just about the two of us. It's gonna be a three-horse race, or even, I don't know, sneak a Newcastle in there, maybe a sleeper contender. I don't know. Like, we'll see.
Yeah, I just don't
Because
know if
like,
they will take
before
that
you go,
next
Tim,
step.
no one thought we'd be part of the conversation this year.
Well, that's
So
true. That's
yeah,
fair.
there
Yeah,
there can
that's
there
fair.
can be like a sleeper that comes out next year and just throws a wrench into the spanner, right?
Yeah, Angie was just telling me about this, by the way. I
Hmm.
have not. I probably should, but like literally ran, grabbed the coffee and ran this way. Even like John actually set up the stuff, but I should probably check in with Edip and make sure he's all good and stuff. 6.2 is not too ridiculous, I don't think, right? But
You
Godfrey says
probably
after
feel
this
it.
thing, as long as we get really, you see,
Building shaken, it says here in the headline from the BBC.
because 6.2, I think when it gets to seven is when you're like, holy mother of God,
Right, yeah.
kind of a thing. So,
No
um,
substantial damage or loss of life, apparently. It says here. Although this is a reporter's tweet from X,
13
so
seconds. The problem with
yeah.
these is when you have an earthquake like that, usually, sometimes, I shouldn't say usually, sometimes it's a sign of the next big one coming because those things are leveling underneath. There'll be, I'm sure, Turkish TV will be full of earthquake experts who've been waiting for the last 10 years to come out and give some more doom gloomy news and scare everybody off and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, I don't know. See, like, yeah, I don't think anybody is ever happy with their ownership, is what I've learned over time over here. Because I mean, they've given him money, right? He has spent money.
Mm.
That's why, like, some of the things were like all the injuries. And I'm like, you're the guy who signed Sterling. I mean, like you
Yeah.
brought Sterling in as depth, and I think sometimes when people, we talk about players, and people say, "Oh, I wouldn't mind him for depth." Like I would, because your depth is supposed to be continuing the plan A. Maybe not obviously at the quality of your starters, but you got to be able to get just numbers is not depth. Not in this league. You got to be able to have guys that can still change games for you and like when you do rotation and stuff like that. I mean, theirs was a rotation by force, but he's the one. I keep saying this, like he's the only guy I've seen where he brings players from his old team and it does not pan out. Like, I know like Jesus got injured, but before that he was like in a really, really rough place anyway. He wasn't scoring. So it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like you're saying early in the season when they were struggling. I think everybody kind of like rode off of how they finished last season. For a while they were scoring like 4 or 5 goals every game and stuff. I remember that. And I still think, I mean, it's a really good team. And if they get like a center forward, it will be dangerous and they will be in the mix over there. I mean, I did bring this up. I never shared it, but this was basically the let's see over here. Um, the stats from like this weekend, and I mean, I don't know. You look at those stats, it's like Jesus. I mean,
Oh
we
yeah.
deserve
Yeah.
more than two. I-
I
If that goal comes in earlier, I think that's a game that is like 3, 4, 5 easy because it was Leicester on top of it who was more than ready to throw in the towel, but obviously they were not
yeah,
going.
I brought it up because of, I guess, the the typical emotion that goes on in social media, right? Like we haven't been playing well. We played
Yeah,
well. It just wasn't going in. I thought Gakpo looked the closest to old Gakpo. He looked decent. Like, he didn't look like old Gakpo. He's getting there, right? Diaz did the best he could at the middle. Like, we don't like him there, but then, as you always mention, the thing with Diaz is that he always tries. It doesn't necessarily come off, but he tried.
oh, somebody's changing their mind on Diaz, I
Again, bro.
noticed.
Again. I think it was one of the shorts. I don't hate Diaz. It's just that I like Gakpo a little bit more, man. Like, I don't like
I don't
seeing
know,
him on
like
the.
I always go back to there's a consistency you get out of Diaz in terms of like effort and stuff like that. You don't have as big of a question mark of what kind of a Diaz am I gonna get.
Yeah,
Whereas there's a big question mark who is going to show up because the bad boy is like a horror film.
yeah.
The good Gakpo is like so good.
There is a question about Diaz in the middle though, and I think you guys brought it up in the Monday podcast that we shouldn't be seeing him next year in the
Well, the
middle.
problem with that is the
Yeah,
guys. I mean, that should be more a slap in the face to the guys who are supposed to play in the middle.
yeah.
That you are
Listen,
so bad that we'd rather play our left winger in the middle, and he's going to be more effective than you in your natural position in the middle. Is what it comes down to.
does
I think you just did not want to lose Diaz. He's so direct, and I think he's the only guy so direct right now, and he gives defenses so many problems and to worry about. I mean, you used to get that from Mo on the other side. Mo kind of like adjusted his play now. He's more like a facilitator. He doesn't really take people on as much and stuff like that with speed. With Diaz, I mean, it reminds me a lot more of, I mean, Sorzi's in the audience of like the Mane days where, including himself, nobody knows what he's going to do because he just kind of like starts going at people direct. And that's a hard guy to defend. Those players are very, very difficult to defend because, like I say, they don't even know what the hell they're going to go. So it's very difficult to guess. Are they going to take me? Are they going to cut inside and stuff like that? So um, let's talk about this because really the only race we were talking about in the panel show yesterday, this is the only thing going right now. First of all, first time in a long time, City scored like a 90-30 minute goal and we couldn't care less. That's been a
yes,
while since that happened. But what do you make of this? So two are going to be left out.
yeah.
Who gets left out?
Hmm.
Looking at the schedule, Chelsea's schedule is a bitch.
Yeah, and they haven't necessarily. So there was this stretch in the season where they looked the real deal, where they were even where they were even considered our closest challengers. Right, there was a small stretch there. I
Yeah,
think it was
early
December.
in
They're
the
like
season.
Chelsea's going to challenge Liverpool. And to be fair to the Chelsea fans, most of them, like 95% of them, were like, "Yeah, we're not ready. Like this is fool's
Yeah,
gold right here. Like this is found money right here. Whatever happens, we'll take it, but we're not ready." And true enough, right? They're just fighting for the top four. Chelsea is one because he said like their schedule is a bit of a bitch and they haven't been playing well. I think Villa might make a late push for it. So Forest has been sputtering a bit. I would go with them, but I do like how structured they are under Nuno. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and just well, not really a limb, but I think I'll just go Villa here because I feel like Forest will do enough. Newcastle, there was a blip last weekend against Villa as well. Like, was it
yeah,
1-4?
yeah.
Uh, but it seemed a case of I don't know, maybe just like one of those one-off kind of games where it just wasn't going, nothing was going. Because I was watching this Newcastle fan channel talking about the game after. They were like, it was the worst performance they've seen in years. So maybe that's just like a one-off. So, well, Cersei going City losing out. What do you think about that? Like,
No,
I I
that's
don't think so either.
Cersei being
Yeah,
Cersei because
yeah,
their games are at home with Wolves. They're going away to Southampton. At home, Bournemouth. Away to Fulham. I
mm,
don't see. I mean, you have a guaranteed 3 points in Southampton game there. So I do not see City losing out. Chelsea, I think, because of their schedule. I'll give you their schedule as well because we were looking at this like in the panel show yesterday. So they play Everton home, which is not an, which is kind of like like Everton plays exactly how Chelsea wouldn't want them to play. That's why I think it's like a dangerous game. Then they have us, and then they go away to Newcastle, and then they play United at home
hmm.
and finish off with Forest away,
Yeah,
which is a
that's
great game. Like
yeah,
in the
that's a great
last game
game.
of the season, that is like a great game to see. Hold on, Gordo, number two dad is in the house. Matt stats: Liverpool stopped playing after the 6-3 win over Spurs, which is kind of what I'm expecting this weekend, by the way. 15 match weeks ago, we still have more points than United. That's ridiculous.
I can't get over, by the way, and this is just me seeing some of these tweets on social media. That's making a great point. How is nothing being made of United finishing 14th? Like in that bracket. That is insane. for like a nearly like 1.5 billion squad. Like
Yeah.
when I was younger, like going to high school and everything, Liverpool, I was getting clowned every day for us finishing seventh, eighth, mid table. Like when I was celebrating that Carling Cup in 2011, I did my damnness to just butter that up, considering we finished eighth and I was still getting clowned on. We never finished that bad, even in our worst seasons. I don't understand why the media isn't making anything
It's
of
not
that
even
right now.
fun to make
Yeah,
fun of him. I think that's what it is. Like my brother's a United fan. I mean, it's he's like a punching bag at this point, and he doesn't even.
really.
He's like numb. I
I'm
mean,
not.
Jake was saying yesterday for Spurs, like he's like in the league. I'm just numb. Like I
But
just
but then
don't feel
that's
anything.
but then that's Spurs. To be fair, man, like Spurs is like universally, even when they were good, like when we took them on in the Champions League final, like 99.9% of football
Yeah.
fans would say, "Yeah, Liverpool's got this." You know what I mean? Like with United, it's still United. You know that name still carries something, and their
Well,
finish.
it's carrying you down is all it's carrying you right now. Now John just gets clowned on for oat milk and his takes on Diaz. Dave is with us. Good morning, sir. Person don't care if City come back or Arsenal play. I feel like a back-to-back coming. Um, I don't know. Like this is gonna be a big summer, and I think
Yeah.
having the two resign makes me a bit more at ease because I think there'll be less change, but there's still gonna be a lot of change coming in. It is something to look forward to seeing what Slot does when he gets a couple of his own guys and how he tweaks things. Bear in mind that was a short summer as well, last summer. So these guys gonna have a full summer this time, like a proper summer. And like I mean, he just inherited. I mean, there were no new additions that fit him as a Chiesa. There's that one.
Who?
Emery has less points than Uncle Roy did when he was sacked by us. I mean, that says. I mean, it is a shit show. Or the United are worse than Arsenal lockdown says. Yeah, I mean, God, it is. It's I just don't understand, and this should tell everybody who's constantly talking about looking at how much money is being spent more than the product on the pitch. That I mean, those are some expensive ass players. It's just not about getting players or
Yeah.
going shopping and stuff like that. You got to build a team, and that's like a shit show. And I was really actually hoping that they were going to get eliminated out of Europa, but I hate to say it, they're probably the favorite to win it right now. I'd
How
rather have
insane
Spurs win it, but
how insane is it though when you see like the standard of competition that they have? Like who are they facing in the semis? Well, Athletic Club, I guess is. I mean, you'd probably fancy
Athletic
them
Club
to
is
get.
good.
Yeah,
Athletic
they're
Club is
good, but then you wouldn't be surprised if United get through. The no disrespect to whoever this team is who's facing Spurs, but who are these guys, right?
they've actually I
Right.
watched a couple of their games. I mean, yeah, they're definitely like the Cinderella story of
From
the
what league,
Europa.
Tim? From what league?
Belgium?
Belgium? Hmm.
I think so, right?
Man, back in the day, we used to face like Villarreal and Sevilla in the Europa League.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, and then
yeah.
now it's just these guys. Like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
I think part of it is some of those teams are have been eliminated along the way too, because either they took it too lightly or like it's not seen as much. They kind of like get rid of it, get it out of the way, kind of a deal. Whereas you had some clubs like Villarreal who kind of thrived on that was their Champions League. They're like, we don't care, we're just gonna win the Europa over and over again, kind of thing.
it was Emery, right, for Sevilla. Like, was that four straight Europas?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Yep.
insane though. Like, I don't know, mad respect. Like, that was he was the manager, right, when they took us down to the final, like in Klopp's first season. Uh,
Sevilla. Yes.
yeah, Sevilla. That was rough.
Yeah, that started good too with that Sturridge goal, and then went
Yeah.
downhill from there. But I'm gonna go back to this. If Atlanta can't stop Bruno, they can beat United. I think it's just a matter of I don't. The thing is, this is all they have. So and they know. I mean, that's the thing. Whoever loses out, like I said, when we were talking with about Spurs yesterday, I mean, what you're going to if there's no Europe, there's not a lot of money coming in. So it's kind of like changes. Not only that, I think the depth of your squads, even if there is money, if you have a deep squad, okay, when are these guys gonna play, or
Yeah.
who's gonna want to come there? You're not even in Europe. Leave alone Champions League. You're not even in Europe. How much are you buying into this? I am. I just don't know what big means. I guess when it comes to
We've
us, but I
I
do feel like both Van Dijk and Mo have been told, or they've seen, like they feel like they're in it, right? They're inside the situation right now. So maybe one, they signed because they see something even bigger coming. And I don't mean it in terms of transfers, but they know, like they see something from Slot saying, like, hey, this is the first season where you keep getting better. I can imagine this if we had this and this. Like a big summer could just be like two key guys being added and stuff
Yeah.
like that. How big is big, you think?
We've been burnt so many times with this whole big talk and everything. So I don't want to
Like a
be.
new signing. It would be like Bicetic coming back. It would be like, it's like a new signing. Like,
I think by big, uh, that would warrant probably Liverpool going for maybe two or three future cornerstones, right? Like players that aren't necessarily that aren't obviously the talent of Van Dijk and Salah now, but they will be substituting for their roles in the future, if that makes sense. Like obviously, like our cornerstones now are Salah, Virgil, Allison, Trent, Robbo. We'll be going for players that at least the scouting team, at least the player recruitment department can see that will fill that void. And I keep saying like the only reason why Salah and Virgil I think committed for the 2 years, I feel like they think that they can win the absolute maximum over those 2 years as well. So to your
yeah.
point, there has been some assurances like, okay, yeah, these 2 years we're gonna maximize you guys. And that means how can they maximize them two guys? By maximizing the squad as well, by adding
Yeah,
more
like
players.
for example, the rumors about the Spanish kid on Bournemouth and center
Yeah,
back.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe it is something like Godfrey is saying, where they said, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna get, someone where you're not gonna have to start every single game for
Yes,
Van Dyke. Like we're gonna
yes.
have quality at center back. We're gonna get this guy, or we're gonna sign a top center back, so we'll be able to rotate more. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's been said or not, but I do agree that something has been said. Like they know part of the plans. I don't think you can just come out and be like, here's the shopping list. These are the guys we're getting. But um man, I'm really afraid Kevin is really trying to shove. I really would rather get the Spanish kid. I know he'll be short term. He would be leaving like Trent to Real or something like that in 5, 6 years or something like that. But I think I would rather have the young kid, to be honest with you. This is a great point, by the way, by Sir Z, that they did not have, because
Yeah.
in the past, the third, like the surprise team that got eliminated from the Champions League would go down to Europa. So you automatically had some
That
big
makes
guy
sense.
coming down, whereas now what you started with
Jeez.
is what
I
you end.
remember I remember making a comment earlier this season that the Champions League might be a bit watered down now because there's so many entrants. Like imagine like if the Champions League is watered down,
Yeah,
the Europa League
yeah.
is watered down even more. Like
And I don't think they care, because I mean
yeah,
that the only thing that does is gets more people involved, because more teams have hope in winning Europa, because they're not like, oh, what's the big deal? PSG or somebody's going to get eliminated, they're going to come down, kind of a deal.
yeah,
I mean, it makes Conference League. I mean, Chelsea fans can probably tell you, and Chelsea fans are watching those games at this point. So
yeah.
it's basically really waters that down more than anything else. Huisen, that's the kid's name.
Please.
We should go just make Bournemouth the new Southampton
Yeah.
and get Kirkes, Huisen,
And
and
Semenyo.
Semenyo.
Yes.
And
Um,
honestly, that's a big summer right there.
a plus a window. You feel? I feel like one more though. One more.
I'll get you a center forward too. How about that? I'll throw in a center forward.
I
Or
want another. I want another midfielder, man.
you need a right back too. It's a big summer, man.
Look at
It is a
that!
big
Look at
summer.
that! Like we got like
You need a right back. I'm
yeah.
not sold on Bradley. I mean, I like the kids, but he's young. I don't want to have a world where he's penciled in as your
You
like
think Gomez
starter.
is gone? By the way.
Probably. God,
Yeah.
I love Gomez too. I feel so
Same.
bad
Yeah.
for that dude,
Because
man.
if he
I
could
feel
stay
so bad.
healthy, then you've got essentially cover for three positions.
But those are famous last words, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, how many times have you said that over the last 5 years?
Last year though, he stayed relatively healthy. To be fair, broke the trend, right? Like, I love how it's like the exception rather than the rule. And It's just that I feel bad. Like I remember our shows before last season, and I was just writing off Gomez, and he just came in, and I was like, yeah, I'm a Joe Gomez convert now. Like I'm religious now. I'm part of the Joe Gomez cult.
Soon to be a Diaz fan as well.
I don't hate Diaz,
From
man. Come on,
selling
like.
him,
Like
selling him in the dollar store like two
when I
weeks
came
ago.
in yesterday in the Monday show just to say hello, like the first thing that came out of your mouth was like the number one Diaz hater. Do not group me with Matouche in terms of hating Diaz because Matouche's hate for Jota is just there. Like my hate
Yeah,
for
that
Diaz
can't
is
be
like
matched. We were talking about it on the Monday Night Podcast. I don't think that can be matched. Like he despises Jota, I think. But that's, I mean, I keep saying this too, but I am more than okay with those two staying and just replacing Nunez. I don't think you need that much of a change up top if you had a really, really solid number one.
I
And
worry
Jota
about
sits behind him.
I just worry about Jota, man. He looks finished, and I'm
He's
not.
gonna come off the bench, put his
Yeah,
head somewhere, score a goal for you.
I guess, man. But then he came off of a long injury layoff and still looked bad. You know what I mean? He had the break. He had the chance to recharge, both physically and mentally. I mean, I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I guess if he's just starting those FA Cup, League Cup rotational games, maybe the occasional Champions League game here where we face against a lesser opposition, it's not that bad. I just I worry. I worry about Jota now. He just looks finished physically.
Jota and Nunes are surely out the door, says Alan. But then he also says if you bring in 5 new players, you can't expect to win the
Yeah,
league.
I mean,
And
and again,
if you bring in Kerkez,
yeah,
and he's
cost us.
starting for you at left back,
Yeah,
or maybe rotating, depends on who's staying, right? If like you would think, I would hope, let's say, Robertson is the one who stays, and we were like, hey, we're just going to extend your career another couple of years because you're not
yeah,
going to have to start all the time. I think Robertson has been fine if he can get the rest. So if
yeah.
you bring in Kirkes, you're kind of like upgrading on that side there. The right side, I mean, there were a lot of injuries in and out this year. So if you get like a guy who he is big on, why the hell not? We were talking about actually on the Monday Night Podcast about Frimpong, who can also fill in for Mo at right wing when Mo goes to the African Cup.
Oh
You
yeah,
got to be
there's that.
careful how you shop, by the way, this summer too, because that's coming up in December. I think it is this time.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I know what he's saying in terms of like too many changes, but I think you bring in a midfielder like you were saying who can at least be in the conversation when we are trying to see, instead of saying like, so the midfield is already set and then just jumping onto the
It is
front.
not set.
If there's a guy kind of like another Jones type player. I don't think it
Yeah.
has to be like a over the top star or anything like that. But if you do that, that's depth. I don't think it affects how the team plays. And I'm really big on the fact that we're going to have a full regular summer going over here.
Yeah, imagine that. We didn't have a full training camp and we won the league.
Yeah.
Right? Like and without the players that he likes, quote unquote. This is a
What are all these haters, by the way? Like, I remember at the time, everybody was hating on that we didn't sign anybody, nothing changed. We just gave them the same team. Nobody was happy with slots. Where is everybody? Where are they?
I
Show
know.
yourselves.
I
Where's
know.
everybody?
Look, well, to be fair with me, it was just like I mean, I'm fine if we don't sign anything because, like, the logic that comes into that is that he just wants to see who he's keeping with
Yeah.
this lineup. And there was no expectation that we were going to challenge for the league, and he just blew that open. So it's like a
That's
win-win.
true. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
We were like, he should be able to get Champions League with the
yeah,
squad,
exactly.
kind of a deal. But and everybody was complaining about the contracts, which kind of like turned out fine at the end. I mean, I'm assuming you're in agreement that Trent is a goner.
Oh
Do
yeah,
you think he takes his
oh yeah.
shirt off and says, "Oh, I missed that shirt back," puts it back on and stays? Or
I did not buy any of that. I did not buy
okay,
any of that. Yeah,
I didn't either. I'm just saying,
yeah. Like,
like because I see people.
yeah,
I
I
think
love
it's more
how
like wishful thinking or something. Like
right.
they're like, maybe you'll
I
change. Would you like him to change his mind? Let me ask you that, because I'm on the camp that I, at this point, do not want him to change his mind.
Yeah, no. For me, it's just, and I love how he just like there was like a glimmer of hope there, right, when he just took off his shirt and celebrated madly. But then after the game, he just squashed that immediately, like during the interview, right? He was just like, yeah, like you see, this is the hope. He just like crush, like why break them now when we could crush them later, kind of deal. So like with Trent, um, and to answer your question, I'd rather not because I feel like with Klopp, he would consider Trent an invaluable piece. Like we literally had like one of the systems. Like I think the system that we won the Champions League in, that we won the league in, the main feature of that system was Trent, or more specifically our fullbacks,
Yeah.
right? Because of the width that they create, and then Henderson and Wijnaldum covering that side, so we won't be exposed. I think Slot goes like, yeah, he's. I think he sees Trent more, and don't quote me on this, right? I think he sees Trent more as a luxury rather than a necessity. That he could do without. Like he can build around him, sure, if he's great to have, but if he doesn't have him, it's not the end of the world. So
Yeah,
and
that's fair. I mean, anytime he's talked about him, he always says
right,
things like, when you have a guy like Trent, like he's tried to get the most out of him, knowing how good he is in
yeah,
certain things. So
yeah,
you gotta get, you're a basketball guy. Like he can shoot threes like no other, but he can't defend. We gotta find a way to get him out there so he
to
can
yeah,
like drain the threes, kind of a deal. So I get that. So he says he tapped the badge twice when
Cersei,
walking
come
out.
on,
What does that mean? Like he's gonna be gone
yeah,
in 2 weeks?
yeah. I mean,
Two more months.
if we're grasping at straws, we could talk about how he left his shirt in the corner flag and that's very symbolic. It's just him
No,
walking
he
with.
didn't hang it. I guess Mecca hung it there. That's what I
Like,
was told.
oh, okay. Well, there.
Because
I
he kind of
guess.
like
Yeah.
flings it, like takes it
Okay.
off,
Mm.
and then somebody picked it up, and they didn't want to carry it around. They're like, "Hey, when you need it, I'm just gonna put it right here for you." Like
Yeah, I love how
it's
they
on the
didn't carry it
chair.
around because they know that this guy's leaving. Imagine if they hung it like that, like Messi did, and everyone was. That's gonna be awkward. Yeah.
Thank you, Trevor. I mean, exactly. Well put. This is why this guy is the editor. I mean, coming back is like, yeah, getting back with your toxic ex. Where is Gordo with his ex
I
analogies?
know.
But
Yeah.
that's what it feels like, and I think we all know that gets so for anybody who has gotten back with their ex, which probably is like 80-90% of us, but even for a short period of time, it goes from 0 to 100, being a shithole very fast. So, and I feel like that's what would happen. The first defensive error that he makes, we would be like all the way up, and then we're like, he should have fucked off the rail and stuff like that. I think it would go there instantly by people, because this, regardless of how it ends, even if he says, you know what, I thought about it, I'm staying, it has left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. So I just don't think, and I keep saying this, that he has lost that invisible shield around them. So there is no protection anymore. There is no, oh, but he, like, he's so good passing and stuff like that. Everybody's going to say his defensive stuff is gonna come out. And even on this Leicester City game, he scores the goal. Like there's like a situation 5 minutes later. This is when it goes back to what you're saying.
Mm.
I don't think Slot is big on that. Where there's a situation where he has the ball on the right hand side. Um, Gravenberg is wide open in the middle, like wide open in the middle of the pitch. It's a counter. But no, he wants to get that highlight pass, and
Mm.
he sends it down the wing. Like in an ideal world, it would land right in front of Mo. It does not, so we lose possession. Whereas if he sees Gravenberg, we got the counter going. Like everybody's pushing up, and Gravenberg is wide open, but he goes for the highlight pass, so that it's one more like, oh wow, look what you can do. And I don't think that's what Slot wants. When you have a guy like that, you kind of say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna have him. I don't know. You're like I'm sure, like, don't your boys play today? Like if you're Curry, like you probably don't want your guy shooting from like the logo. But if
I
your
mean,
guy is making it, or
yeah,
if he's your guy, you're like, I guess, whatever kind of a
yeah. I
thing. Just
guess
roll
whatever.
with.
But then at the same time, if there's like a clear option in front of him, like if he's got a guy cut cutting, like using the Steph Curry analogy. If you got a guy cutting on a 2-on-1, two guys cutting, give them the ball so they could dunk the ball. What you doing taking a
Yeah.
long range shot for? You know what I mean? Common sense still wins out
And that's why
at
I
the
feel
end.
like,
Yeah.
like it's, I think you're right, where Slot is probably like, this reminds me of the Coutinho situation,
Yeah.
where, I don't think, like, Klopp was, I feel like, more than happy. We just could not fit in any of the pegs anyway. So this is like, this is great. Give me the money so we get exactly what we need. We accepted Suarez back. I
We
never did. I'm not a big fan of Suarez as a personality, as a human. Just not a big fan. I don't know how you stand with Suarez, but just not a
uh,
big fan. Like, it's one of the rare players. You can throw Sterling in that category too. That's, it's very rare that a guy is wearing your jersey and you have a, like, you feel dirty kind of rooting for him. I think Suarez has always been one of. He's a great player, no questioning his, like, talent. I
mm.
just don't consider him a good human.
I feel the same way. I'm neutral towards him. We were talking about basketball analogies. I feel the same with Draymond Green. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
he's a punk, man. Like, he's a punk trying to hit players all the time, but then at the same time, he's just so good defensively that you can't just let him go. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I guess my response to what Sir Z said there, we were seventh at the time. So you know what I mean? Like, we didn't really, like, right now we're winning the league. We've managed to get a manager who managed to get these group of players that Klopp didn't get to win the league last year over the line. So
Yeah.
we've got the confidence now, I guess, is the difference to when we had Suarez. And I actually didn't like at the time. I was younger then, right? But then I didn't like at the time that Stevie had to beg Suarez to stay. I did not like that. He had to go like,
Yeah.
no, 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 don't leave. Like, and then his caveat was, if you stay another year, you can move to a bigger club. Like, nah, I don't know. I didn't like that. Like, if you want to go, like, we're still Liverpool. You know what I mean? Like, I know we were struggling.
But I think it goes back to what you're saying. Like,
Yeah,
you shouldn't fault a guy as much over there because he's like, dude, like, we're approaching the cliff. There's no bridge. I'm getting off. Like, you
yeah,
shouldn't fault a player for saying that professionally. Whereas now, I don't buy that, like, from any player, because, I mean, you're on the title winner with a huge potential.
yeah.
I mean, everything is going this way. You look at the rest of the league and stuff like that. I mean, you would think if Trent signed a 5-year contract, he's probably winning at least one, if not another two
Two more
Premier
things.
League titles. Very likely. I mean, nothing is guaranteed in life, but very likely he would be at least competing for them for the next 5 years and stuff like that. So that's why I think you're spot on that, when you draw those comparisons with Suarez and stuff like that, they're just jumping off a sinking ship at the time. And,
Mm,
it was Suarez. So it's a profession. If McAllister did this, or if Van Dijk did this, I wouldn't be as offended as, like, for example, Trent's doing
yeah.
this. Because you're the captain in some, well, you're the vice captain. So you can't jump ship. You're supposed to stay here. You can't be one of the rats, like, jumping off, like, getting off the ship right away. Suarez was a professional, like all these guys are like, yeah, they kiss the badge, they tap it 2 times, 5 times. But at the end of the day, especially, if they come in from somewhere else, I mean, they're just like pros and they're going to conserve their career, money, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think you're spot on with that. The situations are not really
What
comparable.
about the whole Stevie thing that Sir Z is saying here? If Trent does come back, like, and he starts putting in the work, right? Like, there's always that, like, we always think about, like, you mentioned that if it goes sideways, like, let's say he stays, if it goes sideways, first thing, we're going to be like, yeah, I should have fucked off too much. But what if there's always the chance the opposite happens, Tim, right? The glass half full perspective.
Is there a chance the opposite happens,
I,
though?
I don't, listen, I don't think
Apart
so.
from playing devil's advocate, do you really believe when you say maybe when Trent comes in, he'll
Listen,
be a great defender this time
listen.
around?
Playing devil's advocate doesn't necessarily mean that you believe in what you're saying. So I'm just bringing, because it's a slow headlines day. Listen, we're just waiting to win the league, but there is always the outside chance that if he does come back, he does a Stevie G where he puts in the work and he becomes like what, our greatest ever modern era, our greatest ever, Scouser local lad of the time, right?
I'll leave you with Trevor's comment with the
and
Scotch. I
okay,
want to hear the stories about this X that
for
Trevor's
the
actually
record,
referring to.
For the record, I don't believe a word of what I just said. I just want him to go, but I was just bringing it up for the sake of the conversation.
It's good.
Just
It's almost like having Anan on Wednesday again. He doesn't believe half the stuff he says on Fridays, but
right.
yeah. See, that's the difference with Stevie G. It's just when you were like, he did not have a weakness. I mean, it's kind of like,
Yeah, yeah,
obnoxious
that's
to
true.
say that, but he did not have a weakness. Like, you didn't say, like, I think if anybody right now, we want a Stevie G back just as he was, right?
Oh yeah,
Whereas now, when you say we want, yeah, but when he comes back, he's going to start playing defense, is what everybody says. Nobody says we want him back exactly the way he was. Nobody says that. I think with Stevie G, we all said we just want him back. We just want Stevie back
yeah.
because Stevie is perfect, kind of a deal. Whereas with Trent, we're like, we want him to come back, but we want him to play this defense. I mean, we want him to do this and stuff like that. So I think it's like different situations. That's why I don't like those comparisons because I think they're totally different. And why Stevie put his transfer request in is totally different as well. So I'm not buying that. And I think
Imagine.
that's why, I mean, there is no incentive for Trent to suddenly, remember like early in the season, they were like, oh, like he's so much better defensively because Slot told him to turn 4 degrees right. And that's all he needed to do and stuff. Yeah. Now he's like, yeah, I'm not even listening to turning around anywhere. I'm gonna go to Real Madrid and will Ballon d'Or. Good luck,
Yeah.
man. Good luck sitting
Good
behind
luck. Yeah.
Carvajal.
I love how
Uh,
like they're absolutely he's trading the stability of what we have now because Ancelotti's leaving, right? So
yes,
it's gonna be like an absolute, it's a team in flux with personalities that need a manager that can manage them all well. So there's no guarantees there. I don't care who you are. If you don't have that coach who can manage all those egos, it's gonna be a disaster. I'm not saying it will, but then you're trading the stability of what we have now, where we just come off of winning the league to for that. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? Like,
yeah, the decision is not good on any level
yeah,
at all. I think career wise, money wise, like when you think long term, it's not. But yeah, that's why you don't put your brother in charge of your career decisions.
I knew
I
you
know
were
I
gonna
don't
go.
put mine. Yeah.
I knew you were gonna
Um,
go there. I was just waiting for Tim to mention the brother and everything. Like,
Dude, I mean that this is why
yeah,
you don't do that. This is why you don't do that.
yeah,
'Cause, yeah, I mean, this is why there's pros doing what pros do, and your brother who couldn't do anything else, he's like, "Why don't you be my manager?" I mean, that's like the worst thing you can probably do. Although, like you're not doing anything. Why don't you be my manager? Yeah. So yeah, I'll pass on that. But yeah. So we are in agreement. Sounds like where
yeah.
we'd rather just be like, okay, that's fine, but we should go get it right back and not just rely on. I mean, I
All
know
right.
we will anyway because you're down to one because you're not going to count Gomez as one unless you get another center back who can play right back. Or I don't think you want to count Kwanzaa as your
No,
possible right
thank you, sir.
back or anything like that.
No, thank you,
So
sir.
it's going to be an interesting summer, man. But I mean, this is the weird thing. Is this what we're probably going to be talking a lot about in the
Yeah,
next 4 or 5 weeks?
for once in the 2 years that I've been in this show, I'm looking forward to summer. I'm looking forward to
You
summer.
know what? Yes, I am
Yeah,
too, because I'm intrigued in terms of what we're going to
yeah,
do. And I going back to what Godfrey was saying earlier too, and I do think we're going to be doing some stuff.
yeah.
And so I am intrigued to see what's going to happen.
Mm.
But on that note, there's like a lot more coming because we're gonna do our own separate Premier League thing, and I'm excited about that too because I think there's gonna be a big summer for a lot of teams, good or bad. Like movements, people going out and stuff like that. So there'll be a lot to talk about when it comes to the Premier League in that sense as well. What? Trevor and his we gotta get Trevor on again just to give us an hour special on his ex because we I want to hear about this. Oh, okay. Any other tidbits you want to go over that I missed out?
I mean, you talked about Stevie, wanting Stevie as he is. I just imagined him with this team right now, and like that's just a guaranteed, I don't know, three-peat or whatever. I feel
Yeah,
like
right. If you
I
can't find a guy like that, I mean, which they don't grow on trees, but is this going to be a live season Brett Summer? I think so, man. I don't know why I feel like, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot of disappointment. I can see like some of the guy like if Robertson leaves or disappointment in that sense where you're gonna lose some of the guys that you kind of got used to playing for over a long time.
Yeah,
I mean, probably Kelleher is probably gonna leave. Like you're gonna have some guys leave.
you're gonna be the most disappointed because Costas is gonna leave. Like,
Yeah,
my God,
I'm gonna
like,
be. Yeah, I'm not gonna stay for a week because I'm gonna be partying. Yeah, I think
imagine
I
how
think I can live.
how irked would you be though if it was Robertson who left and Costas was the one kept? I feel like you just take a week off just to recharge or
Just
something.
digest the news. Yeah, I it's not, and like Gally was talking about on Monday. It has nothing to do with like being Greek or whatever. It just feels like we have like a 12-year-old playing left back. It just like drives me nuts. Like, how
How
can you be
surprised are you though that
this
Slot?
guy instead of carrying the coffee to Mo, just freaking go in the gym with Mo. Like, there was like that footage of him lifting and stuff. Like, what was that foam that he was lifting? I know it was like all like
He just
marked
did
up
it
or
for the
whatever it
cameras,
was.
man.
But I mean, how can you be this weak as a professional player? He already looks like he hasn't slept in 2 months. And then his physical strength looks like he hasn't slept in 2 months. So that's like my biggest thing. I mean, you look at, like guys that we're talking about, like Kirkus and stuff like that. I mean, Kirkus looks like he can just like take him like a cartoon and then just like whip him around and just like throw
Yeah,
him
yeah,
out or
yeah.
something like that. So, and he's like a young kid. I wouldn't be shocked because he is okay with being a backup, and those like a Divock. Sometimes those guys are golden. Having a
Yeah,
guy who's okay with being a squad player and
right.
a good squad player, still supportive of everything that's happening. Because sometimes guys are a squad player, but they want to play, so they cause problems. You're getting that with Costas. He's used to being the backup kind of a deal. I can definitely see it. I don't know if what will Robertson want? Will he want to
What's
stick around with Van Dyke and,
yeah?
win more, or will he want to go back to Scotland or something like that, like captain?
What surprised me is that Slot's gone with Costas the last two games.
I
Like,
know, I know.
is
Trust me,
that
I
is
know.
that a sign of things to come? Like, I was like, I bet Tim is not even entertaining this conversation right now.
You know
Like,
what? The sad part is the first time he started, I did not even look back there. Like when I looked at the lineup, I was like, "Who's in the midfield and up top?" I didn't even look. I didn't even think of seeing
then you
Costas.
just saw this
Then
dude
when
with
they
the
came
man.
up, and I was like, "What the hell is he doing over
Yeah, you
there?"
just
Like,
saw
why
this
did he
dude with
do
the
that
man
one?
bun, just passing the ball. This really skinny dude with the man bun. Like, wait a minute, what? Like, I love how just like when it starts, you're just like, hold on a minute, like,
Get that bun out of there.
yeah.
One thing worries me that's the under 18s being so bad this season, whereas all the young and talented kids gone. Trevor says they've gone to Leipzig with
It's
them.
like,
Honestly, I watched. Are they 20 U21 or is it U23? There's a lot of like good talent up top, but back line, geez, man. I mean, like everybody was talking. I think it was like Shelton used to talk about like Nalo and stuff. Dude, like that's like horrific watching that kid sometimes. And I know they're all kids
worse worse
ultimately.
than who's the French kid, Cumieto? Like, that dude was a horror show. Billy
Well, this
Cumieto.
is pretty
Yeah,
mighty,
yeah.
pretty darn close, to be
Mm.
honest with you. But I think um the guys that I've seen, like when I only watch the highlights, to be honest with you. I don't watch the full game, but like McConnell and Morton are over there, and McConnell especially could be a guy that's the thing. Like everybody's talking about a big summer and stuff like that. You might see like McConnell and Morton kind of like step up to those are some guys, and there are some like wingers that like Rui
Naoni.
kid. What's the other kid's name? There are some guys like kids or like good wingers that might come up, and you might have fill one of those spots with one of these young kids. Like you're not gonna go buy for every single
I
spot.
mean, midfield is the last position that we need to be. I feel like I feel like we need another, like you mentioned, like another player that could break into that four-man rotation that we have right now. Like, because it's not been good. I like I'm.
Lycett will be back. It will be like a brand new signing.
Well, how do you feel about that, by the way? Like, I'm
I have
not.
no idea because I have not watched them like play in like literally 18 months or something probably.
I mean, between him and Arna getting a guy that he actually likes, I think it's a no-brainer. right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, heck, he might be a guy Arne actually likes. I mean, I don't know. You
oh
know,
yeah,
like we
yeah.
didn't think Arne would be like Gravenberg and start drooling. So, like, we really don't know
I casted
what
a
he.
hex on him, man. Like I put some Filipino voodoo in there and just go like Ryan grab like it's like subliminal. Every time he goes to sleep, the thing that he thinks about before he dozes off is Ryan Gravenberg, and the thing that he thinks about when he wakes up, Ryan
And that could be
Gravenberg.
a Dutch connection too. Maybe if Gravenberg was like from Argentina, he would not show up or something like that. There's like there was like I think when he was talking about Van Dyke though, he talked of Slot was talking about Van Dyke in one of the many interviews that I've seen after he signed the contract, and he actually specifically mentioned a couple of times in those separate interviews about Van Dyke's impact on Gravenberg. In terms of like being a leader and stuff, we talk about Mo like with like Elliott and Jones and stuff like that in terms of like their impact. That's why it was like really key getting these guys because they're not only like some of the best in their position when you talk about Mo and Van Dyke and stuff like that. I think how we don't see all this stuff, right? But I think how they impact other players and show them professionalism and how to. It's a huge difference at this level, man. Like the margins are like very slim. The
Yeah,
guy you're playing against is a freaking pro making a ton of money too. So those little things that they do for game preparation or you know like how you live your life, how you prepare for games and stuff like that goes a long way. And when you have guys like Van Dyke and Mo and stuff like that to look up to and follow the lead, if you want to do good, you could be like Trent and not look at what they're how they're handling a situation and you're like, I'm gonna go crazy with my brother over here. You can do that, but if you're a smart guy, I think you can really kind of like fix your career, even if it's not at Liverpool, moving forward by learning from guys and how they handle their business.
for sure.
What's going on? See, we're getting people from all over the place this morning. Thanks a lot, everybody. It is the end of the show, but still hit that thumbs up. It goes a long way. Some poor soul will be exposed to us in a
Hey,
little bit once the show
if you
ends.
didn't like
So,
the show, you could hit the dislike. That helps the algorithm as well. So
how would you even bring that out?
it helps the algorithm either way, man. Like with
I
YouTube,
guess. I
any
guess.
attention is good attention. Like if you
But
hated
for
my
the
mug,
record,
yeah,
my
sorry,
for the record,
yeah.
our preference would be the thumbs.
Yeah, for the record, our preference would be the thumbs up. But then, if you didn't like what you heard, then hit the dislike. It helps us out either way.
Yeah, thanks to all joining us this morning. As always, like hit that thumbs up. It does go a long way. Throw a couple of comments, and more importantly, share the wealth. Grab somebody by the ear and drag their butt over here. We got a lot coming up soon. We have a new sponsor actually, so hopefully everything will be finalized and we can kind of announce that
Nice.
this Friday as well. So things are going great. We're adding a bunch of new stuff as well, so it's going to be an exciting summer coming up in a lot of ways. It's going to be a big summer, as Van Dyke would say. So let's go with that. But have a great day, everybody, and tune in tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, with the Bald Crew, the Thursday night podcast. I'm sure they're never happy, so they'll find a bunch of stuff to complain about probably. So Kazi will sell 10 guys. And then buy him back over the weekend and stuff like that. But tune in tomorrow night, and I'll see you guys Friday morning first thing. Take care.